Okay, so this is the site that I built for myself. It's a little bit busy. Basically what I wanted was something to post publications, working papers. You know, it's a work in progress, but you can see the basic sort of layout here. The hardest part of developing this part of the site on the publications was dividing up the book, journal articles, and working papers. There's no like, you know, automatic way to do that. I can show you how to do that if you're interested in that. I thought we'd bracket that issue for today and just maybe work with one publication section. And then I think what most people find to be the most powerful feature of blogdown, beyond just, you know, a way to use Hugo or develop a Hugo website in R, is to be able to have this blogging capability, to have this post, you know, recent posts or blog post section to put your blog on your website. Okay, so I just have 2 posts so far. Both of them are about how I set up this website. But what we're going to be working on today is this, and working through these steps here of how to set up a website. Before I go there and show you what steps I took to set up the website, I thought I'd show you a few more examples of Hugo sites, of Hugo Academic sites. So this is Allison Hill. She's a, as you can see, data scientist and a professional educator, psychologist, who does a lot of seminars on how to set up Hugo Academic websites. I've never taken one of her seminars, but I have read her posts extensively. You can see what she does and what she advocates is a really kind of concise, aesthetically pleasing homepage, and then a lot of the material off here on the side on these tabs. That takes a little more effort to set that up that way, but she had that. Her site is obviously a great example of how you can modify the basic template and make it look really, really professional and really good once you get more advanced with this. So the part of her site that I go to the most is this blog, you know, where she's updating people on the technology and how to use Hugo and recent changes. It's a quickly evolving technology, so sometimes the changes that they make will break your site, and she has some. So if you update, the blogdown package, or if Hugo doesn't update, some things that you have may not work anymore. She has some tips on how to deal with that in some of her posts here. This is her post for how to get your site up and running in 2021. Very helpful to me. And she also has here some examples of sites that are pretty cool. I love this one, Jason AF. So this is Jason Lengstorf's website. Somebody who has a lot of ideas. It's more of a busy sort of presentation on the homepage. This is Nistara Randova's website. She's a veterinary epidemiologist. As you can see, this is very sort of concise, with a lot of the information off in the tab. So there are lots of ways that you can modify, and lots of good examples of websites there. Actually, these sites are not using the same theme, the Hugo Academic theme. She notes here. Oh, here are the sites with the Hugo Academic theme. We can just click on some of those. That looks similar to mine, but much shorter. About section, and then that's pretty much it on the homepage. This one has a lot of stuff on the homepage. Very attractive website, very aesthetically pleasing. So lots of examples there in her blog. Okay, so what else I want to say here in the intro? I think the benefits, I want to talk a little bit about the benefits and drawbacks. The benefits are that it's relatively easy. It integrates with your R workflow if you're an R user and you're somebody who uses R Markdown a lot. So that's the main benefit in having this blog capability, I think, for a graduate student in particular. Just want to move this, see if I can move this toolbar over here. Okay, if you're a graduate student, I think having this blog capability here is really valuable, and also an opportunity to feature some of your working papers or early publications, first publications, is really valuable when you're on the market. It's also free. That you can't beat that. You can host it on Netlify for free, and I'll show you how to do that. You have to pay a little bit of money if you want to change and have like your own custom, URL like EmmanuelTeitelbaum.com. That costs a little bit of money, but assuming you have a name like mine, it's very cheap because how many Emmanuel Teitelbaums are there. So it's very inexpensive. The drawbacks, like I said, it's a relatively new technology. The documentation for Hugo, or now it's called Wowchemy, they basically, I don't know, the designer, the person who designed Hugo, George Cushion, has, I guess, partnered with Wowchemy, or maybe started a company, but yet he maintains the documentation separately. It's not clear to me what the relationship is there, but now they're calling it Wowchemy. And as of very recently, the documentation is not always the best. Like I said, the updates to blogdown or Hugo can mess up your site, but luckily there's a big community of users and people are very supportive, and you can always post a question. Usually people get back to you pretty quickly, assuming that the issue is not too esoteric. Oh, Bosco's waiting to come in. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Got that. Sorry about that, Bosco. So I'm just introducing everybody to the Hugo Academic blogdown website basics, and giving an overview of the technology and that type of thing. So disclaimer here, I'm not a data scientist. I wouldn't even call myself an expert R user. I'm a recent convert to R, but I figured since I recently set this up, I could share the information with you guys. I thought it'd be really helpful for graduate students. Honestly, I was thinking, yeah, this could be a really great tool for graduate students. So I thought you might be able to benefit from it. So I thought I'd go ahead and offer this to you. So I'm not sure I'll be able to answer all questions, but hopefully we can get something up and running for you guys today, and then you can modify it and do additional research and try to figure out how to get it to look exactly the way you want it to look. Okay, so so what you need, the prerequisites are, R, hopefully R Markdown, installed. The blogdown package, we'll do that as we go along if you haven't done that already. You need to download GitHub to your machine, and you need to get it communicating with R. You have to have a GitHub, account, because all of this gets pushed to GitHub and then pulled essentially from GitHub to Netlify, and that's how you're going to publish the site. So it has to go through GitHub first. If you haven't done that, if you don't have GitHub up and running, then you can still follow along for some of the R parts, but you'll have to redo everything because it has to be, there's a way to do it on the back end to publish your site on the back end, but it's easier if you just start with a GitHub repository already in place. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. So maybe we can get, one other thing I guess I could share with you here is what it looks like in RStudio when you get this up and running, just as a preliminary sort of preview. So you're going to have this file structure, something like this. You'll be spending a lot of time in the content section and in the home file. This is where all of those widgets are that you see on the home page. So it's structured according to widgets, and we're going to be modifying these widgets, turning some of them off, deleting some of them to get whatever content you want on your home page. And then the other place, a few places you'll be spending time in, also in the content folder, are these folders that are going to house the content that you want in various sections or various widgets. So publication, for example. So this is all of my, these are journal articles. There's also slides, right? If you're going to want to post some slides, there are folders that house that material that Hugo then uses to, to build the pages that you want on your website. Okay. The other thing is, okay, so for posts, posts are housed here in the post file. And these are the 2 blog posts that you see on my website. So I have those open. These are you're going to be modifying the index file most of all. So this looks like any, R Markdown, document where you'd, or R Markdown file where you have a YAML header, you edit that, you edit the title, the author. There's a way to start a new post. There's a tool in Blogdown to do that. I'll show you that. Here I have the caption from Unsplash, which is a great place to get imagery, pictures for your website. So all that stuff goes in the YAML header. I just have it set to the system date for every time, for last modification. So every time I update it, it updates automatically the date that it was modified. And then the content of the post. So this is the post I was showing you earlier. These are the steps that I took to set up my website using Blogdown and the Hugo Academic Wowchemy theme. And so all the stuff that you can do with Markdown, obviously you can do in these posts. You can insert a URL like that. You can insert code chunks in line, or you can insert code chunks, R code like that. You can have, headings and subheadings. This is a big, where I'm giving an example of how to set up in this other post that I have on my website, how to set up a publication. So I can show you that post real quick, but this is basically, an R Markdown file, and you can edit it just like you would any other R Markdown file, and then you knit it. And once you knit it, it's ready to be posted. And then you push the changes to GitHub, and then Netlify will automatically update based on those changes that you push to GitHub, right? So just going back to my website real quick. So this is what that post looks like, and these ultimately once Markdown, it's formatted and everything is knitted and it's formatted, this is what it looks like, and then you push it, right? So really cool, really easy, better than writing a bunch of HTML code, which would not even be an option for me. So very convenient way, to write posts. All right, any questions so far? Okay, so if you guys want, we can start working through some of these steps. I need to really move this. Toolbar here. Okay, so go to my posts. And we're going to be working through these steps. So first thing we want to do is get on GitHub. I think I can close that, right? Yeah, close that. I'm going to get on GitHub. And you'll log into your GitHub. And then basically you're going to create a new repository. Okay, and this one I'm going to call GW Grad Students. All right, and like I said, from there, you want to add the README file. You're not going to check any of these things, and you're going to create the repository. Okay, very simple. Then you click on this little green button, and you copy that. Okay, you got that? All right, from there, we're gonna go back to R Studio, and we're going to open R Studio, and we're gonna navigate to, oh, let me share where we are in R Studio, hold on. Over to R Studio, and we're going to navigate to new project, and we're going to go to version control, and if you have Git installed, you should see that. Okay, and then what you just copied from GitHub, you just put in there, and it's going to automatically populate a directory name. And then you're going to browse for a place that you want to save it, save that file. And you want to be fairly conscious of where you're saving it, because your website is going to live there and you're not going to want to move it. Okay. All right, everybody got that so far? Okay. Okay, so then we hit create project. Okay, and there's your project. And then if you haven't done so already, install .packages, blogdown, and go ahead and install that. I already have it on my machine, so I'm not going to install that. So all right, are we good? Okay, and then from there, call it, open, call the package, and then it should, the next step is to actually create the site. So you type new site theme equals Wowchemy starter academic. All right, and hopefully it works. Moment of truth. Takes a little bit of time. Okay. So maybe yours is still going. I don't know. You can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you're ready to go. You're good. Dan and Mark, yeah. Okay, good. So now all you got to do is hit yes to serve the site. And for future reference, if it doesn't serve automatically, you can use this command here, blogdown serve site. And then if you want to stop it from serving the site, blogdown stop server. And if you leave it served, next time you open the project, it should load automatically. So you can start editing right away and see the changes. But serving the site basically allows you to view the site and the changes that you're making locally before you push them. Fairly immediately too. Okay, so you should see this now. This is the starter package, right? Or starter, website essentially. And this is what this provides a template that you're going to modify then for your own website. And what you can do if you want to preview things a little more easily, hit this show a new window. Okay. And then what you should see from there is share in your web browser. You should see this, right? Your starter site. And so every time you make a change, this is being served, right, locally. And so every time you make a change, it's going to show up here, and it's also should show up. You sometimes have to refresh it, but it's also going to show up in your RStudio in this little window here. But oftentimes it's easier if you have that, you have it in your web browser to see what's going on. So I like to keep both of them open or reference both of them. Sometimes if I'm having a hard time seeing things in this window, I'll switch over to that window. Okay, so it has a post open here. Okay, and what you could do is you can already just start modifying the post, and you can say my first post, and then whatever your name is. Frida Goldman's fine. Save it, and then you can knit it. You can see it updating there. See if it's changed anything. It probably hasn't yet. And then you knit it, and then you should see, the changes you see the change to the post already. And then if you want to go back to the home page, you can go back to the home page. All right, so now what I can do is I can show you a little bit about the file structure and how to develop some of the content in it. And we can see just kind of how far we get. How much time do we have budgeted to go to? We have till 11, right? So we have plenty of time.
Yeah, if need be, whatever works best for
Yeah,
the material you have.
Take that long, but it's good that we have a nice chunk of time to work with, and we can kind of fumble through things if we need to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Professor Samer has a practice job talk Q&A in a little bit, so I'll have to leave for that, but I'll stay till then. But just
okay,
when I leave early, that's why.
That's cool. How many of you guys are going to go to that? 2 of you. Okay. And when does it start?
10:30, I think. Okay,
good. I think we can get through the bulk of this by 10:30. That should be fine. All right. And then if people want to stick around and do a little bit more, we can, if we haven't gotten through some things, and we can work on them together. I have till 11 for the budgeted for this. So, okay. So first thing you want to do is you want to go to this content folder here, and you want to go to home. This is going to be your home page. This is the thing that, the landing page everybody's going to see, and all the stuff in here is stuff that you're going to see on the home page. The first one you're seeing here, this Hugo Academic Starter, this is, I believe, the hero widget. Yeah, that's what that is. A hero widget is basically something you include in your website if you want to encourage somebody to do something. All right. So this is an advertisement for Hugo, essentially. And what you can do here is in the file structure, if you want to, we're going to want to get rid of this for our own site. This is basically here just to kind of tell you about Hugo Academic. So there's one or two things. You can just delete it. There's no problem with that. The other thing you can do is you can insert, and in most of the widgets, these are all called widgets, these various parts of the home page. So if I go back here into the viewer and you look at this, this is the demo widget, or maybe it's the demo is an example of a blank widget. This is the about widget here. Then there are pages widgets. There are various types of widgets. And what Hugo Academic's basically doing is taking these widgets and using them, however you edit them or whichever edits you include, it's using those to build pages that are, the subsections of your home page, if that makes sense. Okay, so you can delete them, you can modify them. If you want to, like for some reason, you like this code, maybe you want to use it for something else. There are two strategies you can pursue here. You could just create like a mock website like we're doing right now and keep all this stuff so you can reference it later. And then just delete whatever you don't want. Or you can do this active false, and then it just goes away. And you should see that in your viewer, it's not there anymore. Okay. So I'm just going to close that out. We've made that false. Same thing here with this demo widget. I'm also going to close out of this, my first posting for now, so we can kind of keep it clean. So this is an instance of the blank widget. And this one you can see already have this active, field here. So you don't have to add that. You can just change it to false. But what's kind of cool about this is, it has this interesting background here, which, and then this call out box. I like this call out box. So you can see the call out, the code for the call out there. So if you want to replicate that later on, maybe you're interested in hanging on to that rather than deleting it, you can just, do headless. Oh, not headless is false. Active is false. And then when you save it, it should just disappear, right? But like I said, you can also go in if you want, if you're not interested in hanging on to these things and you just want to clean up your files, you can just take demo and you can take the hero widget. If you don't think you'll ever use the hero widget and there's nothing useful to you there, you can just delete those files. No problem. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to close it. Okay. All right. So from there, we want to look at the, the first thing that people are going to want to look at is your bio. And that's in this about widget, but that's not where you edit it actually. For the bio, you go to content. So for some of these widgets, you can just edit things here, but for others, all of the relevant content is stored in a separate file that the widget then accesses, and that's the situation here. So we go to authors, admin. I don't know why it always creates this garbled file on my machine. I'm not sure if it happens with you, but I just delete that. Okay, so then we have admin. You go to the index folder, okay, and I thought what we could do is, start a bio, and I can show you first of all how to change the picture from the avatar there to a picture of yourself or whoever you want to have a picture of. So let's go to Unsplash real quick. Go ahead and do a share here. And you should see so we're going to go to Unsplash. And we'll do a little Einstein theme here. And we can download a picture by Einstein. You can have any picture you want. And typically you'd want to copy this down here, say thanks. You could copy to clipboard the attribution and include it with the photo. But since we're just using this as like a biopic for for a fake website, we're not going to mess around with that right now. Okay, so so then you need to go and find that file wherever it's living on your computer, and then you need to drag it. And I'm just going to share my whole screen with you here. That'll be better. All right. And so you need to find where that file is living. It's going to be in downloads for me. Then you need to find where your website is. Okay. And this is, I have it as GW grad students. Okay. And then you need to go to the content folder, to authors, admin, and that avatar there, you're just going to delete that. Okay. And you're going to take your Unsplash photo and you're going to change it to avatar.jpg. Okay. And now you should see your homepage update with Einstein's picture. Did you guys able to get that to work? Yeah. Okay, so now we have, but it's not Nelson Bigetti anymore. It's Einstein. So then what we want to do is we want to go back to RStudio. Okay. And we want to change some of this information in here. So we can change his name from Nelson Bigetti to Albert Einstein. I don't know why it does that. Albert Einstein. And you see his name's changed. And we can include some other information about Albert Einstein. Let's see. And this is going to appear not here, but in other pages. But you want to update the bio info because it'll appear in sometimes at the bottom of a page. I am a physicist with an interest in nuclear physics, quantum mechanics, and world government. Okay, because that was something that Einstein was interested in. So he has a PhD in physics from mathematics and physics. From Swiss Federal Polytechnic School. And then other than that, I think he just went to high school. And my understanding, it was at the Leopold Gymnasium. This was 1901, and this one was 1894. Okay. And you can change the bio info, to whatever you want. Albert Einstein is a professor of physics at For instance, Institute for Advanced Study, etc. All right. And of course, his interests are things like general theory of relativity, unified field theory, world government, like I said, violin, organization, Institute for Advanced Study, and then whatever the URL is for that. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to put ias.org. May not work. But all of that should change now, right? So that's how you edit the bio page. And so you can look at the viewer over here. So all of the stuff that we just edited is now showing up. You can edit all of this information, you know, for contact. This just goes to the contact field at the bottom of the page, Twitter, etc., GitHub, LinkedIn, and then your resume. You can have a link to your resume, which you would include. That would go to the usually that would live here in the static file, right? And you would put your, you know, whatever PDF you would want there, and you put a link to it in here. Okay, so that's how you would, you know, edit one of these widgets so that it includes the information that you need. It's pretty straightforward. You just kind of have to fool around. I think even more than looking at the documentation is just important to just fool around and see what works and what changes when you change a field or delete something, or, you know, always be ready to put it back. But I think it's pretty safe to mess around with it and see what changes. Okay, so from here, basically, I think what you want to do is you want to figure out, okay, what kind of widgets, and maybe you want to do this in advance of building your site, but you want to figure out, okay, what kind of widgets do I want to include? I thought for a graduate student website, so we're going to be, what do you want to include on the homepage at least? So you want this about widget, accomplishments. I'm just going to delete that for now. We could also just turn it off if you want to save it for later. The safe thing to do is go in and turn the active from active true to active false like we were doing before. Experience. I am going to just get rid of the featured widget for now. I don't think we'll have time to play with that, but if you're interested in that, I have a separate post on how I use that to set up my publications section. Posts we're going to keep. Blanking on what index is here. I have to go back and look. Projects, may want to keep that. Publications you want to keep. Skills, you know, maybe you want to keep that, but it looks more like that widget looks more like a resume that, you know, somebody who's applying for a job right out of college would use. So it could be useful if that's what you're doing, but since you guys are, you know, PhD students, you probably wouldn't get too much use out of that. Tags, this is going to be like popular links to popular topics that you're interested in. Talks, you may want to keep that. So just delete all that stuff. And you see your homepage will update now. If you go to you hit academic, now you should see gallery. Probably want to get rid of gallery. I'm not even sure what that one does. I haven't messed around with it, but so now you should see recent posts, projects, recent upcoming talks, recent publications, and then the contact information at the bottom. Okay. And so then what you have to do is you have to order these. So I'll just share with you what I'm looking at right now. Oh, you got my whole screen. Okay, so this is what it should look like roughly. Recent posts, projects, recent upcoming talks, and recent publications. And what you want to do is move around the order. Maybe you want your post first. I have mine last. You know, if you have some publications and you're on the market, or you know, your job market paper, you may want to feature that. If you've done some talks recently, you know, you may want to feature that and put it more towards the top. Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
So I saw that like when you were scrolling down, I think under recent presentations, maybe it looked like it had like recent and then present and then the S down there. How would you code it so that you would change that spacing? So that
It just automatically does it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's, you know, and if you look at it on a phone, it looks different than if you're looking at on the, you know, on a big desktop screen like I am right now.
Okay, so it'll just automatically fit.
Yeah, it automatically just.
Specific. Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Exactly. All right, so going back to our studio. So what we can do is we can change the order of these. So you'll notice if you go to contact, and what you do is you change it with the weight field here, you see? So contact is 130, that ensures that it's always at the bottom of the page. Whereas about is 20, you could even change that to 10, so it's even a little bit further up. Okay. Oh, index is the oh yeah, about is different from the anyway, that's not where you edit that. Like I was saying, you would edit all of that information in the author information in content authors. Okay, but let's keep going here. So sorry, back to home. So let's say posts. Let's say I want to have it further down the page than where it is right now. Well, 60 is okay for posts. So let's leave it there. It's partly because we have so many other things that it's at 60. But let's say we want to have our publications higher. We really want to feature those. So we know that our about widget is at 10. So then we put this one at 20. And now what you should see is recent publications right below your bio information. Okay. And then if you want, let's say, your projects to come after that, you could put that at 30. And if you want your talks to come after that, you could put that at 40. And so on and so forth. And let's see what kind of order we have right now. We have recent publications, projects, talks, and then posts, and then the contact info. Okay, so that's how you're gonna change the order. And then from there, what you're gonna do is you're gonna edit each one of these to include the information that you wanna include. And I'll just go ahead and start with publications here because I know people have to go in 10 minutes. And I think that one's kind of important. And it's also a little bit complicated, but it works similar to how some of these other widgets works. It draws its information from this publication folder, okay? So here what you have is, you'll notice that right now on the in the publications page, there are two publications. Okay, one is a preprint or working paper, and then it has all these links to the PDF, code, data set, so on and so forth. And then you have this other one, an example journal article. All right. So you also have this conference paper. The conference paper is not showing right now. If you go to the index, let me just close out some of these tabs here. It's not showing right now because it's set to featured. And if you have the featured widget, I would recommend not deleting the featured widget like I just did. I was just doing that for expediency, because you may want to use that at some points to take some of your papers and feature them in a separate subsection of the homepage. And that's what this does. So this is now set to featured equals true. So it's going to show up in that featured section, but not in the main publication section. But if you change that to false, then it will now appear back here. Sorry, I'm passing it. Conference paper is here. Okay. And so for each one of this is for the conference paper. We're on the conference paper right now. For each one of these, it will populate with, well, actually, you have to change this stuff manually, I believe. But the citation should be basically, the citation is coming from the site.bib, which you would export from your reference manager, whatever you're using. So actually, you would have a citation file. I actually have, there's no tool to do this for multiple publications. So at least as far as I know in blogdown. So you have to either do this manually, right? Create this citation file manually and populate all of this manually in the index file, or you can use a Python tool, which I describe in that other post on my website about how to manage publications in your Hugo Academic website. So if you're interested in doing it using that tool, read that post and it'll give you detailed instructions on how to import your publications into your site. Okay. It's a little bit complicated, so I'm not going to go into it now. But these are the basic elements of the publication. You also have a featured JPEG. So, so if you wanted a different picture for your publication, you would just import it in here. And just like we did with the avatar, you would change the name of whatever that file is. You would delete this one and just rename the one that you imported to featured.jpg, and then it would appear. Now you're not seeing actually right now the pictures for these publications that are associated with these publications. And that is because of a different setting. So if we go back to files and we go back to content and we go back to home and publications, all right, you can choose how you want to display the publications. Right now it's citation publication only. You also have an option for compact. And if you do that, if you change it to 2, then what you should see here is, actually, let's refresh this. You should see the pictures for the papers now, right? And that's how, so on my site, you saw the little picture of the journal covers. I just manually downloaded those pictures from the journal websites, you know, and imported the JPEG into the publication folder, and then, you know, change the option to this compact. You can also do card. And if just refresh this, then it looks like that. If you want a really big picture, right, along with your conference paper. And that's what I did for my book on my website. I had like a really big picture of the book title. right? I think a lot of people like the simpler look, but it really depends on your taste. And then these little links here, you can edit in the index. Sorry. Yes, you link here. Some of them show up here in links, right? Like this is a custom link. This is custom link here. That's what's creating that. And it goes to, if you click on that, it'll go to example.org, wherever that is. And then you also have these links down here. This is to local content, URL code, URL data set. And you can have all of this information in the publication folder, and then it'll just link to that, right? Or if you want to put the PDF locally, like right now they have the PDF linked to George Cushion's website. But if you want to put that locally, you can also store it here in static file. A lot of my PDF stuff is here in the static file, and then you can just put a link to that, you know, /static / you know, whatever the name of the file is. All right. So it's very flexible, and you can delete some of these. Like if you don't want all those links, you can just delete them. Right. I don't want to delete the bottom of the YAML header there. And so now if we go to the viewer, then a lot of those links have disappeared. You may not want to, maybe you just want PDF site and, you know, some replication. It's just showing you how, you know, all the different links that you can have, but that's all editable. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. And similarly, for those of you who have to go, you can edit any of these posts. I already showed you how to do that basically, right? You go to the post folder. Similarly, projects is going to have a separate folder. Publications is going to have a separate folder. Oh, we talked about that. Your talks are going to be linked to slides. And you just have to figure out where this stuff is linking to and then go to that file and then edit it. So publication, project, all the project stuff is here. And they have an example of an external project, which you can explore. And again, you're going to be editing that index file. And if you want a different JPEG, a different picture, just import that, rename it to feature JPEG. This one has an external link and it goes to example.org, right? So if you have an external project, that's an example of that here, you know, external project. And then if you click on that, it's going to go to this. It's going to have this text, an example of linking directly to an external project website using external links. So if you're working with somebody else or professor on a project and you want to highlight that, you can just link to it on your website. Or if you have an internal project, you have your own project that you're working on, like your dissertation, right? This could be helpful for featuring your dissertation, explaining what it's about to people. Then that would be an internal project. And then the index file for that would look like this.
Sorry to interrupt, but really appreciate you taking the time this morning.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hope it was useful.
It was great.
Thank
Really
you.
enjoyed it.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Wow.
Okay. Tell Samurai I said hi. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Cheers.
Okay, take care. So this is the example of an internal project, and then you would just edit the text here to explain, you know, whatever it is you want to explain. Okay. All right. So from here, I figure we just talk about how to publish it and how to push the changes to GitHub and publish the site on Netlify. Does that sound good? Do you have any questions about the content modification or anything like that? I'm looking over here because you guys are hovering over here and pictures are hovering over here on my screen. So, okay. So let me close out of some of this stuff. Now we have our site. Basically, we're good enough to publish, maybe. You know, we're going to want to edit it more, and, you know, but for now, let's just go ahead and publish it. In reality, we're not even going to use the site, but you know what I mean. You could get to a certain point and you can publish it and then make sure everything's working and, you know, online, and then go ahead and make additional changes to the point that you're comfortable with it, and then you can start sharing it with people. So let's see. So from here, oh, one other thing I want to show you guys before we do that, how to change some of the settings to make it look maybe a little bit more customized. So if you go to, sorry, so GW Grass is, if you go to config default, did you see that? So grad student, so you go to config, this default, and then from there go to, oh, actually I wanted to show you two things. One is the menus. All right, so you see the menus across the top of the site here. So this is where you're gonna, you know, this stuff here. This is where you're gonna edit that, and similar to the weights, how the weights arrange the pages in sequential order. These are gonna determine which of the links comes first here or across the page, depending on how you're viewing it. If you're looking at it in a phone, or if you're looking at it from on a desktop. We can also just delete some of these, you know, and it shouldn't break the site, I don't think. So now if we refresh this, we don't see the demo link there anymore. And then let's see, the first thing we have here is our publications. So you can just leave it like that, or you can kind of move it around. You want publications to go first. You want maybe your blog. Maybe like we just follow the order on the website. Contact is down there at the bottom. So projects, 20, talks, 30, posts, 40. And then we have something courses here, which isn't even on the home page, but the example of this is on my website. I have a link to my courses. But in any case, you can see how that's updated now so that it's in the order that you want it. Okay. But I can share with you how my website, right, I think that's right. My website, I have a link to my courses, and this is cool. If you're teaching stuff, you can have syllabi there, right? Or you can have just links to you have like a homepage for your courses, and then a separate homepage for your courses, and then links to the courses, a course description, a link to the syllabus, or really over here, you know, you can have links to all kinds of material. Like you could have your whole course potentially online, all of the material online, except for maybe, you know, readings, which may be copyrighted. You may still want to post those in Blackboard, or, you know, there may be material that you want to link to, you know, like videos, you know, instructions for assignments. There's lots of stuff that you can post here and not have to mess around with, you know, re-uploading it every semester in Blackboard. And then also when students leave your course, they can go back and access it again, which they can't do in Blackboard, right? There's like it times out after like a year or so, they can't access the course anymore. So here, if they remember something from your course and they want to access it again and use it in another setting, you know, they can do that. So I think this is going to be really, really helpful for me personally. But that's something else you can set up. Let's see, going back to our studio. Other thing I want to show you was, close out of this. Other thing I wanted to show you was the configuration. So the config file. Okay, so that's a title. No, wait. Params. The params.yaml file. So theme is minimal, and I actually have to look up real quick what the academic themes are. Hugo Academic. Here we go. So here's a list of them here. I'll just share this with you real quick. This is at, getting started. This is the documentation. Maybe one instance in which the documentation is helpful. But so what you can do here is you can take any of these themes and you can use them for your website. So if I go back to our studio, so basically one is this forest theme, which I kind of like. And you just type in forest there, and now we view it. Now it's green, which kind of looks nice. I think Einstein looks good in green. So you can fool around with that. 1950s coffee, dark ocean, and then there are all kinds of other ways that you can customize it. Like I said, Allison Hill's post is really helpful in for more advanced use and customization. All right. So that's the last thing I want to show you in terms of how to modify the site. So from here, what we can do is go to console, and we can push the changes to GitHub. We can, use this, use Git, and then you always want to include a message of some sort. So for your first commit, it would be initial commit or initial website commit, whatever you want to call it. And if you have GitHub talking to R, you should get this message. So no way, definitely not now. So obviously we want definitely. So that's going to push the changes. And it should be ready. If we go to the little Git tab here, we see all the files waiting to be pushed now. We hit the green button to push them. Okay, and now if we go to our GitHub repository, we should see everything there. Okay. All right, everybody still with me? Still with me is what I want to say. Okay, so from there, what we do is you go to Netlify if you've set up an account, and you log in. Okay, and this is one I was messing around with earlier, this Einstein GW in preparation for today. But you hit new site from GitHub, and then you hit GitHub. Okay, and we're going to do GW grad students, and then that should all say the same, and then just deploy it. And now, we guess you wait a few minutes while it deploys. And then you have the option here next of setting up a custom domain. And there are a number of steps involved in doing that. You have to, go and purchase a domain. There are a number of providers who will do that for you. I think you can do it through Netlify too. I did it through a third-party provider, and then I had to change all these settings. But I found my manual.title bomb for like $17 or something. It's not too expensive. So set up a custom domain. So we're not going to do that, actually. And then what you can do is you can go to site details. That's the site name that it's given you. Hardcore Liskov, and obviously we don't like that, right? So we want to change the site name. And we can call this now GW grad students or something. Let's see if that works. And that works. That's the site name. So now this is the site URL, gradstudents.netlify.app. If you're happy with that, you can keep it. Or if you want to get your custom domain name, you can work on doing that. But the site should work. Obviously, if you're posting this as gradstudents.netlify.app, it's not going to work. So change a different, select a different name when you're publishing just to test it. But that's what our site looks like. And it has all the elements that we were working on. And then the link to the courses. I didn't talk about how to modify the contact widget, but it's very similar to, the other widgets, very self-explanatory. Let's go back to that real quick. Files. Graduate student, content, home, contact. Well, I thought it was self-explanatory, but now I'm forgetting where it lives. I have to look for it. Maybe it's under authors. Yeah, all of that information is here, I believe. No, that's not it. I have to look it up, guys. Sorry, I can't remember where the content widget lives. So it's one thing I forgot to review before today, but that basically is how you set it up. Do you guys have any other questions about it? Were you able to get it to work? Yeah? Okay, great. So you're on your way. All right.